Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you're having a great day. I'm John, and let's just jump right into it. Today, I want to talk about a pretty hard subject, and that's layoffs. I want to share with you my experience, and then I'll go into some steps on how to bounce back and things not to do as well. So, what is my experience with layoffs? Let's rewind to about May of last year. I got a renewal on my contract position for 6 months. I was super excited. I love working for this company. It's a company I've been dreaming about working at for a long time. Now let's fast forward 2 weeks. It's the beginning of June, and I'm cruising along, enjoying my job. However, there's all the uncertainty going throughout the entire world. And my phone rings. It's my boss. And my boss's first words are, "I'm sorry." It's at that time that I'm informed that due to all of the uncertainty throughout the country and throughout the world, that I am being let go. I was completely shocked. I was caught off guard. I didn't know how to respond. I remember telling my boss, "Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to work at this company. I learned a lot. I hope that everything doesn't last very long and that they can get back to normal soon. I would like to come back if that's ever an opportunity for me, but thank you." I hung up the phone and I was in shock. And if you were here watching this today, you can probably relate to my story, either by yourself having been laid off, know someone who's been laid off, or you were laid off a while ago and still trying to figure out a way to bounce back. What I'm going to share with you are 7 steps I took to bounce back myself, and then also I'm going to share with you about 3 things not to do during your layoff. Step number 1, take a deep breath and mourn the loss of your job. It's going to be a traumatizing experience. You may have been a go-getter your entire life, but now is the time to take a moment. Don't do what I did and just immediately hurl yourself back out there into the job market and be a mess for several weeks. I know that happened to me, and I'm pretty sure the people around me can concur, as I didn't allow myself a chance to grieve the loss of my position, and over time, I still really haven't allowed myself to actually process the fact that I was laid off. I was just so gung-ho to get back into another role that I didn't take the time to process and think about what it was I was going through for this job loss. So give yourself a break. Take a moment to yourself and grieve the loss of your position. It'll be good for you. You will have time to apply to jobs in the coming days. You will thank yourself, and once the shock of the layoff starts to wear off and you get to be able to really focus on you and life again, now we come into step number 2, which is pay attention to your finances. When you're let go from a job, it's very important that you monitor your savings and how long you can realistically last without an incoming paycheck. Make sure to prioritize your non-negotiable expenses like rent and utilities. And now it's also time to put the fun stuff and the wants on the back burner. Like, let's just say if you have a gym membership, cancel it. It's time to go for a run, do some push-ups and sit-ups. You can stay fit. While you won't be hulked out, you also won't be going broke faster by having money going to a gym membership. Also, going out to eat, done. You are now cooking at home. It's really easy to cook at home and much cheaper than going out anyways. And while I didn't go to the extreme of what Dave Ramsey always says, rice and beans, beans and rice, that's a way to go. But also make sure you really track your finances with the budget like we talked about in a previous video. And this is also where having an emergency fund really comes in handy. And also in my previous video, link down below, you can see how to build up your fund, which leads me into step number 3, which is apply for unemployment benefits. Now is not the time to be proud and prideful and saying, hey, I'm not going to do that. If you don't know this, your entire working life that you've been getting paid, you have been paying into the unemployment insurance fund. So now is the time for you to go collect the money which you are rightfully entitled to. Once you've applied and start collecting uninsurance, now it's time to update your resume. Make sure you do put your accomplishments on there. Don't just put a title and just little bullet points. And make sure that as you're updating your resume, that these bullet points that you do have on there and the accomplishments you do have on there, they correlate with positions you're applying to, which means don't just have one resume. Your resume ought to be a living, breathing thing. And every time there's a new job that you're going to apply to, you need to update your resume to fit that particular job. It is now time to tap into your network. Getting laid off usually is pretty sudden. You don't get a chance to say goodbye to teammates and friends at work. So if there is anyone there that you actually still want to maintain a connection with, make sure to send them an email with the best way to contact you, and also requesting the best way in the future to contact them. And I know as you're sending these emails, it could feel a little weird. These are people you're not going to be seeing on a daily basis anymore, and they're still there and you're not. Understand at the same time that these are professional relationships, and these people may know someone who can help you land another job moving forward. It's also time to update your LinkedIn profile. Make sure everything on there is current. Make sure you're listing your accomplishments. Write articles that are based off your career path and things you completely understand. Get published in there. Let people see that you are actively looking for work. They actually have a little tag now that says open to work. And now we'll get into what to do for step number 6 on the application. When it comes to applications, I myself was super aggressive. I made a promise to myself that I would apply to no less than 20 jobs a day. And I can tell you right now, if you're going to be that aggressive in applying for jobs, be prepared at the end of every single day to be just completely wiped out and exhausted, because I was basically writing 20 brand new resumes a day. Like I said in a previous bullet point, you have to make sure that the bullet points on your actual resume match the current job to which you're applying. Now, while my job is in human resources and recruiting, not every single position is the same, because there's all sorts of recruiting and all kind of jobs that require it. And that's going to be the same thing for you and the jobs for which you apply. Also, understand that as you're sending out these resumes, be prepared to be extremely patient. You're more than likely not going to hear from almost 98% of the companies for which you apply. I think from the entire time that I was unemployed, I sent around 900 to 1,000 resumes, of which led to about 20 interviews, and at the tail end of it, I got 2 job offers. So be patient, be aggressive in your applications, and I think a good number is probably 10. That way you get practice building your resume. You're going to get your information out there, but I was super aggressive with it, and the way I look at it is I'm shoving resumes into a bucket like pouring water into a bucket, and when I put enough in there, it's going to overflow and I'm going to get wet, i.e. a job offer. So this now leads me into point number 7, which is to keep a positive outlook. I know that getting laid off is traumatizing. I know that there's going to be a lot of changes, and there's going to be many that's not going to be good. However, instead of giving in to feelings of sadness or self-doubt, make sure to always stay positive, because you're putting a lot of energy into moving into your next position with your applications and your network, and also having to be patient and the rejections that are going to come. Expect that. Know that they're coming, and if you maintain a positive outlook, focus on what you have to do to keep moving forward, I promise you it will get better. It doesn't feel like it right now, but over time, it will get better. For me, it took 6 months to get a new job. For others, it took less. For others, it took a lot longer. And I feel for everybody, whether they are unemployed for 1 week or 1 year or longer. It's really terrible. It sucks. However, do your best to maintain a positive outlook, as maintaining a positive attitude will lead us into the first thing you're not supposed to do. And I know this first thing is going to be super hard for most. It was for me, especially initially, and that is, don't look at your layoff as a personal failure. Layoffs do not mean that you were a terrible worker, you weren't putting in the effort, or you didn't have the ability to do the job. Almost always, layoffs are for extraneous circumstances and usually budget cuts. For me, it was because of a thing that was happening around the world. And for millions of people, this happened. So you're not alone in this. Maintain your positive outlook. Another thing you don't want to do is ever, especially in interviews, talk poorly about your previous employer. Absolutely not, as doing so is not a very professional look. And the last thing, and probably the most important thing, is tell your friends and your family this what you're going through. Don't hide from it. I know I did, and I was really an internal mess during that time. I gained a bunch of weight, and I did my absolute best in the situation without really going into detail to everyone how it was truly affecting me. I was fortunate enough to be productive for the most part in how I dealt with the job loss, which for me was being super aggressive and spending all my time just focusing on getting the next position. Now, really, for me, it was trying to avoid embarrassment, sadness, and doubt. A lot of self doubt. So I was doing my best to avoid all that. And really, what I should have done was probably gone to therapy and actually talked to my friends and my family and got my head right. But luckily for me, I was extremely fortunate. I have really good family, friends, and I did land in a position after about 6 months. And that's my story. Hopefully, you are able to take away something from that. Hopefully, some things helped you. Please like and subscribe to this video. If you have a layoff story, please comment down below. I will definitely respond to it. I'm very interested in seeing how people themselves reacted to their layoffs and what their situation is now and going forward. Thank you for your time, and until the next story, have a good night and take care.